Nightfall in the riverside town. As night descended on the riverside town, the stone banks mirrored the deep indigo sky. Inside Lamb's tea shop, a soft golden light still glowed. Outside, the wind rustled through the maple trees, carrying the scent of dry leaves and a hint of fading blossoms. Though Lamb had locked the door hours ago, he wasn't ready to go home. He sat at his familiar wooden table, flipping through pages of his notebook, eyes lingering on the blank spaces. His tea shop, warm and nostalgic, still lacked something to make it come alive, like the dreams he once sketched. Tonight, he decided to find the answer. In the corner stood an old wooden cabinet left by his father. Every time Lamb opened it, the scent of pine filled the air, mingling with memories of quiet afternoons brewing their first pot of tea together. He reached for the top drawer, where small forgotten items were kept. Beneath layers of old wrapping paper, his fingers brushed against something round and cool. It was a brass compass, slender yet sturdy, its glass foggy, its needle shimmering gold. What caught Lamb's attention most was the engraving inside the rim, clear, attractive, easy, satisfying. For simple words, yet they pulsed like a heartbeat touching a hidden truth. Lamb chuckled softly. Maybe this is the reminder I needed. He placed the compass beside his blank notebook. As the light reflected off the needle, he imagined a different version of himself, a vibrant tea shop owner, greeting lively mornings and guests enchanted by his brews. He took a deep breath, warmth spreading through his chest. "All right," he whispered, "let's begin with the smallest things." The next morning, Lamb woke before his alarm. The room looked the same, the bed by the window, the bookshelf with a few of his brother's old books, a chair with a jacket draped over it. But something felt different, like the compass had nudged him towards something new. He walked to his small wooden desk, took a sheet of light brown paper, and carefully wrote, "Warning, try a new tea." He stuck it where he'd see it first thing. Beneath it, he placed a glazed cup and a fresh box of tea. There, he smiled to himself, the first habit has shown its sign. At the shop, sunlight streamed through the windows, turning dust particles into dancing beams. Lamb arranged a clay teapot set by the entrance, so anyone walking in would notice. "Don't hide what matters," he recalled the word clear. Each morning, he brewed a new pot of tea, letting its aroma fill the shop, welcoming both the first guest and himself. That small habit brightened the space, as if a gentle melody had entered the air. Speaking of music, that was Lamb's next step. He'd always loved mellow jazz, but only played it late at night. Why not pair it with tea? He thought. So each morning, as he boiled the first kettle, he played an old jazz tune from his tiny speaker. The warm contrabass, the soft saxophone, and the sound of bubbling water blended together. As the scent of fresh mint tea mingled with the music, Lamb felt his morning had been seasoned with sweetness. He laughed, remembering the second word, attractive. He began playing his favorite tracks only during tea experiments. That turned his mornings into moments he looked forward to, like the opening of a story he knew would be beautiful. On heavy days. Of course, there were mornings when Lamb woke with heavy shoulders. Old work, unpaid bills, fewer customers than hoped. He realized that building habits wasn't just about inspiration, it had to be easy to maintain. One evening, he prepared everything: teapots, cups, jars, water, towels. He arranged them neatly on a wooden tray by the brewing counter, so the next morning, everything would be within reach. "Make it easy," he murmured, as the compass needle pointed that way. And indeed, the morning felt surprisingly light. Night fell over the riverside town, but Lamb's tea shop still glowed with soft amber light. He sat alone, flipping through his notebook, eyes lingering on the blank spaces. In the corner stood his father's old wooden cabinet. Inside the top drawer, beneath layers of old wrapping paper, Lamb found a small, cool object, a brass compass, slender, sturdy, its needle shimmering gold. Engraved inside were 4 words: clear, attractive, easy, satisfying. Lamb smiled. Maybe this is the reminder I needed. He placed the compass beside his notebook and imagined a different version of himself, a vibrant tea shop owner, greeting lively mornings and guests enchanted by his brews. "Let's begin with the smallest things," he whispered. The next morning, Lamb wrote on a brown slip of paper, "Morning, try a new tea," and placed it where he'd see it first. Below it, he set a glazed cup and a fresh box of tea. At the shop, sunlight streamed through the windows. Lamb arranged a clay teapot set by the entrance. "Don't hide what matters," he recalled the word clear. He began playing jazz each morning while brewing tea. The warm contrabass, soft saxophone, and scent of mint blended into something sweet. Lamb smiled, remembering the word attractive. Some mornings were heavy. Old worries, unpaid bills, slow business. Lamb prepared everything the night before: teapots, cups, towels, arranged neatly on a wooden tray. "Make it easy," he murmured. And indeed, the morning felt lighter. One day, an elderly woman arrived early. Watching Lamb work, she smiled, "Just watching you makes me want a cup." He offered her a taste of his new blend. She sipped, eyes lighting up. "The mint and passion fruit remind me of Europe." Lamb smiled, realizing his small efforts had created something unexpected. Each time he tested a new tea, Lamb drew a tiny leaf in his notebook. The first few were shaky, but over time, they formed a garden. Some days he nearly forgot, but the blank page reminded him. The sound of pen on paper whispered, "Well done." Each leaf was a quiet thank you to himself, for being patient. It echoed the final word, satisfying. The shop began to change. Customers arrived earlier, drawn by the scent of new brews. Some asked to hear the morning's jazz again. Others stayed after work, sharing stories and leaving with warm hearts. The tea shop had found its soul, a place of quiet peace. When tired, Lamb would open the cabinet and look at the compass, remembering that everything began with the tiny things he once feared. One rainy afternoon, Lamb flipped through his notebook full of leaves. He closed his eyes and wondered, what if he'd never found the compass? Never noticed those 4 words. A soft glow seemed to wrap around the shop. The compass shimmered faintly. He felt a whisper, "Keep going. Just a little each day." Lamb created a new ritual. Each evening, he brewed a pot of tea just for himself, dimmed the lights, and wrote down one thing he was proud of. One night, smiled at a grumpy customer. Another, blended oolong with dried apple. Short sentences, but each one a warm brick, building a quiet home in his heart. One night, Lamb remembered Atomic Habits, a book a friend had once recommended. He flipped through its pages. The words echoed the compass's message, but with stories, examples, clarity. Lamb felt less alone. He was grateful to the author for turning life's lessons into something gentle yet powerful. Maybe one day, he thought, he'd share his own story, so someone tired and unsure would know they could begin with something simple. On a cold evening, Lamb wrote a letter to himself from a year ago. He shared how the habits he once feared had become gentle through small steps. He repeated the 4 engraved words, spoke of the leaves he drew each day, and ended with a note: believe that 1% is progress, and that tiny progress can warm an entire life.